Alright everybody, so welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take a little tour around the garden. I'll show you what I got growing and some of the things that are doing fantastic and some of the things that are not so good. And we'll talk a little bit about it as we go along. It is the middle of spring, towards the end of April, almost into May. Beautiful weather out, you gotta love it. So come with me and I'll show you what I got. Alright, so I spent the last couple of days cleaning up my pool area. It was in bad need of it. It's one of the hazards of having a mini greenhouse inside your pool, I guess. But let me kind of show you what we got. I still got a couple of tomatoes that haven't been planted yet. I got some spots for them. I'll be getting them out here soon. Got some herbs there, various other things that are growing. Down here is my little spinach, my potted spinach, and then my potted lettuce. I actually tore all the lettuce out and planted new because the old stuff was starting to get all, starting to bolt. So I went ahead and started some new fresh lettuce. Then over here we have our little, this is part of our little greenhouse. This is the shelving unit, and we got various and sundry different things. That's some sort of lettuce that my daughter brought home a clipping. I cannot remember what it was. But behind that is a cherry tree. And then over here is a baby guava. Some baby papayas right there. And then some Family Jewels milkweed. The last of my passion fruit vines that I haven't either given up or planted. Cranberry Hibiscus. So I only had 5 seeds left, and they were from a few years back, and they have yet to sprout. Still got hope, but all my cranberry hibiscus died back, froze off, and so that's what I got left. Hopefully I'll get something. If not, I might have to go looking for some. This is a little bit of holy basil. It was starting to get big. It was starting to bolt a little bit, so we decided to bring it in here. And then over here is some baby yarrow that's just starting to come up, and hopefully we'll survive. A few other things down there. Cat grass, which the cats have done a pretty good job of mowing. That's there to hopefully keep them from eating other stuff. But like I said, they've been keeping it pretty well chopped down. Well, then we got some flowers. Say hi, Mama.
Hi. Looks so different out here.
Some of our flowers, oh man, it's so clean in here. So much better.
Right.
Then over here we got some of Mama's succulents of various different types and sorts. This is like her project area. And some more over here. Lots of goodies. Then we got a couple of pots over here where I'm going to try and keep greens growing throughout the summer. We got a couple of different things in there. The cap, or the wire around it just keeps the cat out. But that is some lacinato kale, some perennial spinach, and there's even a chard in there. It's starting to come back. I dug it up from where we'd had them planted elsewhere. And then over here I got a cauliflower, a basil, and a bean with that one is actually a blue, dazzling blue kale. It doesn't look very blue yet, buried up underneath there. Matter of fact, let me get this prop back up a little bit. There we go. Alright. Now here's some more of that dazzling blue kale over here, along with an onion, which we just decided to grow in a pot, just for fun. Some more succulents. A pot full of possibility. Another cherry tree. These are actually the Brazilian, I believe. Yeah, Brazilian cherries. Yeah, that's the Brazilian cherry. That's a baby kumquat tree. I had it planted, but I kept mowing it. And then I kind of put it in a spot where I wouldn't mow it. And then it just didn't do as well. So we're getting there. Then my little tree farmish kind of place. So there I've got a couple of avocados that I planted from seed. One is a Florida avocado. The other one is probably a Mexican avocado. We planted some out, and I'll show you here in a little bit. Last year, they just didn't do well. So I'm going to wait and let these get hopefully a little bit bigger. I'm going to get some bigger pots and put them in here shortly. And then down here is a ton of Malabar spinach that we got from seed. So I just had the old vine. You can still see the vine right there in the middle. The old dead vine. So I took the seeds off, sprinkled them everywhere, and that's what's come up. So we're doing good. Here I've got the last 3 of my cuttings from the Ashia fig, and they are doing well so far, except for that one right there. Looking a little rough, but that's the only one that really didn't take, or it might have taken, we'll see. But out of the 9 that I planted, I think it was 9, all the rest of them did well, so I'm pleased. This is Goji Berry cuttings that I stuck in a pot, and we're going to see if they keep growing. And then next to that is some plum cuttings, and we're going to see. Hopefully it'll grow. If not, then I had to trim it back anyway, so we'll see what happens. Over here, another pot full of possibility. This is a little bit of our stevia. It keeps coming back. We've had it in this pot now for, I don't know, a year or 2. And then Mama turned it down here recently to make some tea with, so we'll see if we can get some more cuttings here shortly. But I got stevia all over the place. Alright, and that is just a little bit of lantana, just for the fun of it. I think those are mums. Alright, and some more of Mama's plants over here. Another of the lantanas and various other flowers and such. Then over here, I did a video a few years back. Well, actually, I think it's been almost 2 years now. And I will tell you that I planted blueberries. And that is the sum total of the blueberries that I've gotten so far. It's just sad. I have one more out there that survived in the food forest. I'll show you that here in a little bit. But yeah, just hadn't been real good for me. I got to figure out what I'm doing wrong, and we'll move forward with that. Hey, but that's part of gardening. Experiment, see what happens. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. And back behind there, those are baby aloe. And a lizard is looking at me all crazy. Whoa. Whoa. Ah. Giant lizard. Alright, anyway. Alright, over here, I had a bunch of these pomegranate trees, but I gave a couple of them away, planted the rest, and now I've got one more in here, and then one more in a pot out there yet. So we'll see how this one does. A few more experiments along here. Like that is actually a red dragon fruit. It's just starting. And this is a Lysomachia something. But it's supposed to be a... Don't laugh at me, Mama. But, I mean, it's starting to grow out. It looks like some sort of vining flower plant, I'm thinking. We looked it up. I can't remember what it was. But we're going to see what to do with it. I just haven't figured it out yet. I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go along. This one here, shoot, I don't even know. Oh, that's a mint. I think that's one of Brenda's mints. Then down here, these are all 4 Loquat trees. I got to cut off the leaves that are kind of beaten up, but all of them just volunteered. So didn't really want them where they were, so I'm going to try and get them growing. I'll trim off all the leaves with some damage on them once I get a few more started. Like this one here, it's already got a nice leaf on it, so I'll probably cut them back. That one, maybe I'll do that one. This one here just hasn't quite got there yet. Same thing with the other one. So we'll see. Alright, so that's what I got inside of here. Let's go around the outside. So this was my Barbados cherry tree. Alright, so it died back in the freeze, and then it started to come back. You can kind of see if I can get up in there. All of this here, this dead leaves, that actually came back, and then we got cold again and it died back. It didn't even freeze actually. It got down to like 40 degrees and all of that died. So we'll see. Hopefully it'll come back. I'm going to give it probably until summer, and if not, then out it comes and we'll experiment with something else. Down here we got Suriname spinach, which you can tell by the the seed pods. They come up everywhere. That's a tasty spinach. It's more kind of like a what do they call it, mucosa or something like that. Kind of a little bit on the slimy side, but it tastes good. The seed pods are up in them stalks, and it drops everywhere. We had one plant in here.
They're cool looking to use in the bouquets.
And they're cool looking for bouquets. And this is probably our, well, I don't know if it's our biggest, but one of our bigger patches of longevity spinach. Oh wow, check it out. It's actually starting to flower.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen it flower before.
These ones? No.
Yeah, got the flower right there.
I know, yeah.
Cool, we'll get some seeds out of that.
I've been cutting it.
And then some mums, which we're trying to plant more flowers here and there. And then some more of the Suriname spinach there and there. It does spread well. And then over here, we have various and sundry different things. There's a lot of mint, and then down inside there you can see like right there's another Suriname spinach. There's a little bit of cilantro going to seed. And then I had a couple. We had peppers. What kind of pepper? Cayenne pepper. We had cayenne peppers in here, and I found one that had dried up, so I sprinkled them in there. I'm kind of hoping they'll come back, but I haven't seen anything yet. So we'll see how that all works out. Alright, there's another Suriname spinach over there. I tried moving some of those around in other places, and it didn't work out too well. So then over here is Mama's rose garden, which a little better view. Got a few roses here. We got more in the back. Over here is a whole bunch of holy basil, and we got all of that from seed. And then one white tomasil. That is my biggest white tomasil tomato, which I just don't get why I'm having so much trouble getting these to grow. And it's been a mystery. One of the many. But it's starting to get a little bigger now, so we got hope. Alright, that is another one of those Barbados cherries. Over here, we got a few cucumbers in pots there. Alright, the munchers, and then the straight 8. And that's what people had talked about. How long are seeds good for? And well, those straight 8 cucumbers I bought last year. And you can see, even though 5 out of 6 of the muncher cucumbers, which I got the seed for those this year, came up, only 1 out of 6 of the straight 8s from last year's seed came up. I did not collect seed last year, mostly because we didn't really keep a good track of which one was which. So we're going to do better this year, hopefully. All right, another baby tomato back there, and then some dianthus we're growing for flowers. And then over here, I just recently planted some nasturtiums, and they haven't come up quite yet. And sunflowers, which they are coming up. So it looks like I've got one, let's see, there's 8, 9 out of 12 so far, and still got hope for the rest. And then here are my peppers that I tried planting. And once again, I had cayenne pepper seeds on the left-hand side there, and then I had Kobachi sweet pepper, and the cayenne pepper seeds were from last year, and the Kobachi sweet peppers from this year, and they did much better, as you can tell. But they're taking forever to grow. Alright, a few more tomato plants that are just starting to get a little bigger. Actually, my white tomasils in the back are starting to grow a little bit. Cucamelons right there, which I'm deciding whether or not to keep some in the pot. I've got them strewn all over the place. Got a few more tomatoes, and then that's my big red dragon fruit. How did I miss the yellow ones? I got a couple yellow ones in the pot somewhere. I missed them somewhere. And then back there, that is my ginger / turmeric that has not yet sprouted. I got one sprouted over here. I'll show you in a minute. These are my dwarf banana trees outside the pool. They give you that nice tropical look, but I've yet to have any bananas whatsoever, and we've had them for many years. they freeze off and then come back. But even last year when it didn't freeze, I still didn't get no bananas. Some more roses. Mama loves her roses. All along here, some more bananas and roses. And what she does, I'll give you kind of a look over here. She puts them in pots, or I'm sorry, in water, and eventually, you know, maybe 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 5 will root and come back, and then we got more rose plants. Back here, I've got a lot of different things. That is a bird of paradise plant, which we have one back over there, just this side of the grill. But we split it up because it was way root bound. I gave some to my daughter, and this one here will probably go to my other daughter. Some more Stevia Marigolds. Like I said before on one of my videos, if you got marigolds, you're going to get a whole bunch more. Alright, so these we're probably going to leave here. We might move a few of them. We'll see how it goes. And over here, on the other side of that, is our Family Jewels milkweed, which is growing pretty good so far. Some more stevia. Some more stevia. All of this came from one plant like 3 years ago. There's some more back there. And this is just seed that we've just let it go to seed and go where it will. More marigolds back there. And then some milkweed here and there. A few other plants. That is a white yarrow, which I'm fixing to go probably take out and use as part of my fruit tree guild. A little bit of bee balm and a little bit of hibiscus that a guy that I met at the plant swap actually has grown and cross-pollinated to make a really pretty flower apparently. Alright, and then back over here on this side we have some parsley, which does really well right here. We kind of moved it around, just kind of, it was in the way. Left it here, man, it has gone crazy over here, so we really like that. And then a little bit of our Citronella. Oh, Mama, come check this out. So this is shampoo ginger. It's just starting to sprout.
Yeah, if you got one growing.
So check that out.
Right?
So we're excited about that.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be pretty neat. And the Mama's, well, it's supposed to be herb garden, but it's mostly a mint garden. But there's some stevia in there. Yeah, she does love her mint. A lot of chocolate mint, a lot of stevia, some cilantro, a little bit of taller mint. The orange stuff is actually cinnamon. We've had an ant problem up in here. We're going to see how the cinnamon does. I'm not thoroughly impressed so far, but we'll see. Got a little bit of yellowing on the mint. I've never seen that before. We'll see what ends up happening with that. Back here we have our blueberries. Well, she's got a few blueberries this year, but not a lot. Well, Mom, you better get these over here. There's like 5 or 6 of them that are ready. More blueberries there. A little more of the oregano. Oregano will go crazy. You got to chop it back every so often. This is my katuk tree, which is not supposed to be able to grow here, and it died back from the freeze. But it died back a couple years ago, and we left it alone, and it came back. So I don't know. That one ain't looking like it's gone. It's looking pretty rough. But we'll see. There's my pool pump back there. And then we got some more aloe, some more ginger and such, and some more of the oregano there. Let's go over here, and let me show you what we got happening over here. So this is our raspberries, and they are just loaded with fruit. And look at all that fruit fixing to come out. They're getting really good. And some more over here. Now this doesn't get as much sun, so I'm not sure if that's what's causing it to not fruit as much, or if maybe it was just because I just replanted these last year. So that might be part of the issue. But we'll see. If they don't do real well here, then we'll move them somewhere else. Just dig them up and move them. Another mulberry tree there, bush. Just got a couple mulberries. If I can chase it. Whoa. But mulberries seem to put out more fruit the second year, but that one actually is on the third, I think. All right, over here I have my blackberries. Now this is an old plant that just didn't do well, so we dug it up and brought it over here, and you can see it's putting out some berries, even for such a small plant. Of course, got a marigold back behind it. And then, gosh, what is that? I'm not even sure what that is. Might be a bean, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at it real good. Yeah, I don't know. But we got something else going back here. I think it's a bean, though. Alright, and then some more of the flowers. Our other blackberry plant, which we got last year as a gift. And you can see it's got flowers on it, and it's got berries coming in. It's looking real good. They're all over the place. We're kind of excited. Our homemade DIY fountain. We bought the solar fountain from from Amazon somewhere, which is kind of neat. And then that is just a pie cover filled with rocks on top of a vase with a cake cover. Now I'm talking like the ones you get from Walmart or Winn-Dixie or wherever. All right, so they're just plastic. We filled them full of rocks and water and got ourselves a little fountain. Something that hopefully the bees and bugs and such and birds will enjoy. Alright, and this is Mama's first tote garden. We've got tomatoes in there. We have got, what else? We've got stevia, tomatoes. We're not sure if that is celery or parsley, because both types of seeds went in. Looks like some peppers buried down up under there, some tomatoes, and then lots of chives. So she took a whole bunch of seed and just kind of tossed it in there. Tossed in the stevia roots, which were just roots. They looked like they were dead, but they've come back. And then the tomatoes, we're not sure how they got there. But they're growing, so we'll see what ends up happening. Just a little experiment. This is my baby lemon tree, which might be a lime tree. I'm not really sure, because it was a lime/lemon graft on one tree. And I took 2 cuttings and rooted them. And it's come back, so we'll see what it turns out to be as time goes on. The first of our apple trees, this is the Dorset golden apple, and you can see it's putting out leaves, but it did not put in any blooms. It was very scraggly last year though, so I'm not unhappy that it didn't bloom out. I'm glad that it's actually leafing out more this year, so hopefully we'll get some good growth off of that. Now around it is what's basically the beginnings of a fruit tree guild. Alright, so we've got right there in the middle, got a little bit of garlic, got some mustard right there, got some pigeon peas for nitrogen, and then next to that over there got some chives, got a couple of beans right there which will allow to climb up the tree. Various and sundry different flowers. We got marigolds. We got some of the pollinator mix that I bought online. A little bit of cilantro over there. And behind that is another volunteer loquat. I'm not sure how it got there. So this is one of our fruit tree guilds. Alright. And we're just trying to see how it will go. But you can see the grass is already starting to come back in certain spots. And the thing is, if you don't grow something, nature will. So we're working on it. Back here's my other blueberry, which are doing better this year. Last year they just didn't really want to grow. So I put down some more wood chips, and they're growing much better. They didn't bloom this year. Got a lot more growth. Well, actually they did. Look, I've actually got a singular berry. Maybe 2. My bumper crop over here. But I'm just pleased that they're actually starting to grow back. So, and then up underneath there is a couple of the baby pigeon pea trees. There's one there and one over there. So we'll see how that all turns out. That's the first of my little food forest patches. And then over here is my other one. And here, you'll see that is a Seminole pumpkin. And some cilantro and some zinnias right there just starting to sprout out. A little bit of fennel, my strawberry patch. And then this is my biggest olive tree, which is going all crazy. I may have to prop it up, but I kind of like the drooping effect. Kind of cool looking. And then I got a few weeds in there, so I'm not really that concerned about. A little bit of kale right there. And that down there is actually ground cherry. And then this is my other apple. This is the Anna apple, which is crazy. All right, this one here is doing very well. You see, it's got some good growth. Let me take you in on this side. All right, and you can see I've actually got apples. Now, I had blooms in several different spots, but this is the only place that the apples actually took. It was on this one side. But this Anna apple is doing very well. We had a couple of fruits from it last year. We're getting a couple more this year. And I've got, what is it, 5? So it's getting bigger, and as it gets bigger, it'll do better. I'm going to do a bit of active pruning this year. But around it also, we have a bunch of different plants as part of the fruit tree guild. Alright, so there I've got comfrey, which is in the accumulator, next to some garlic. And I've got a bunch of flowers up in there. That is part of that pollinator mix. A lot of cilantro. Let's see what else we got. There's another garlic right there. There is some chives somewhere in there. I'm not sure where. Oh, there they are. Right in front of me. Alright. So there's my chives. And over here I got a tomato plant. And then the strawberries back behind. More cilantro. Some flowers back here. So I've got a whole bunch of different things. There's marigold back there too. And that's what's called a fruit tree guild. Now what I'd done with this is I mixed up a bunch of seed and just tossed it. And this is kind of what came up. Some of it might come up a little later. We'll see. We'll see how it ends up growing. But it's kind of neat. Because you don't really know what you're going to get. And all of them were beneficial for the tree. So, and you can tell this tree seems to be doing quite well. So I'm very pleased. Alright, this over here used to be a tea plant. But now it's a stick plant. And this is the other singular survivor from my blueberry experiments. Alright, so I didn't really get a lot of growth. If you look down here, that right here is actually a blueberry. So that's as big as it's gotten, and it's been 2 years in there. Now I did not set up the soil as acidic soil like I should have, but hey, you know, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it'll get bigger. This is another one of the fig tree cuttings that I took from my Shia fig, which is doing quite well. I am going to trim up that lower growth and make it try and come out of the top primarily, because I want that to be more of a tall plant, and I don't want branches down below necessarily. Then there's a little bit more of the longevity spinach. And then in here this is kind of neat. These are African mint potatoes. Alright. All in here. And I was really worried because, man, everything froze hard. And, you know, I don't know how many freezes these are used to going through in Africa. But I was kind of concerned that they would die back. But they're coming back. You can see even down in there, there's a little bit of a comeback happening. So there's a few here and there. What they make, let me see here actually. Here's a good example. If you look right there, that is what it's going to look like. Potatoes like that. And apparently you eat them just like potatoes. We haven't tried any because I wasn't convinced that we had any. So we're probably going to try a few this year. And then another tomato plant over here. My other lemon tree, which had blooms on it, But I think all of the, oh no, actually, there's a baby right there. It's trying to come back. We'll see. Oh, another one up under there. We'll see. I mean, it's very young to be putting out lemons yet, but if we get some, that'd be cool. This is our pollinator mix. The meadow mix, I should say. That was Southeast Pollinator. So it's coming up, going great guns. Lots of pretty flowers. And then back there, we got some more of her geraniums. There and there. Got them scattered all over the place. Another tomato plant. That one's a cherry tomato. I think that one's called a cherry baby. Same one as this one over here. That's more pollinator mix there. It's really pretty. It got a lot bigger than I thought it was going to. So I'm pleased. This peach tree has not done well. It didn't do well last year. But once I'm convinced that it's grown out about as much as it's going to, I'm going to go through and do a pretty hard prune on this. So then behind it, once again, I got more of that mix that I tossed out. Primarily cilantro coming up here, a few flowers. The garlic I did plant. And then the mustard, that purple mustard. That's fixing to be a tomato, not quite yet. I got to plant one of my, I think that one's going to be one of them white Thomasills, hopefully. We'll see if it gets big enough. That or the pink brandywine. Now this is the mama lemon tree, which has gone all bushy and crazy. And I'm just letting it go. I cut it back a little bit to keep it pretty much within its bounds. But it's doing pretty well. Got a few lemons here and there. Had a ton of blooms, but a lot of them fell off. So that's part of the deal. It's part of the deal. Next to it, I got some pomegranates. Those don't have any leaves on them yet, but I do have, I'm sorry, leaves. They got plenty of leaves. They don't have any blooms. All right, and then over here, I've got another fennel. I think that's a fennel. Hang on. Is that a dill? I think it's a fennel. Oh yeah, definitely fennel. Some more of the pollinator flowers are coming up. Some bee balm in here. A few of the pigeon peas. Various and sundry different flowers, along with some cilantro here and there. That is mostly weeds. And that is all around our nectarine tree, which is actually putting out fruit. Now, smart money says don't let it fruit this small. But I was never that smart, so we're letting it fruit. And we'll see. Hopefully we'll get at least one or two. And we actually had to throw a net over our peach tree, which I'll show you here in a little bit, because they got them. They started getting them a lot. So we threw a net over it to hopefully keep some of them. All right, so the other apple tree that's got apples on it is an Anna apple. As is this. You can see there's nothing there. Now I've already had to replace the tree that I had here initially because it was not doing well. And you can see I've got a whole bunch of different things growing up around it. Once again, trying to do the guild thing. I got beans next to it. I've even got some cabbage back there. Cilantro, some clover. I mean, I got all kind of stuff. Even some more of the mustard. But it just hasn't put anything out. Last year it was kind of iffy. And this year, I don't know, man. It might have died. Now that will happen. From time to time, you're going to have trees that don't make it. We'll see. I'm really hoping something will happen. But if not, then we'll have to move on and take care of business. This is my ice cream banana. All right, that was a tiny, tiny one. I mean, gosh, it was probably 3 inches tall when we got it last year. Now, even though it did freeze, this one made it fine. Unlike some of the other ones where the freeze killed them, this one is doing great. You can see we're stacking up a lot of stuff around it to rot down. That's got a lot of the moringa and compost and just some other yard trash that I've tossed in there. But hopefully it'll do well. And I got a couple of pups that, will continue to grow. I'm going to let them grow up and hopefully they'll do well. All right, on this side, that is some mustard that I'm letting go to seed, not because I want the seed necessarily, but just because of the flowers. And they're kind of cool. Hopefully the bees will get to them. The bees are like hard to find now. That is a sweetie tomato that I'm still letting get up a little bit bigger before I decide which plant to cut out. They weren't really growing in the pot very well, so I thought, well, you know what? I'll just toss them in there as is and we'll see how they're doing. and then pick one to save, and the rest we'll let go. The other plant behind it, we see the little baby leaves, the really light green leaves. I'm not sure what that is. Somehow or other it got in with my tomatoes, so I don't know. We'll see what it turns out to be. This is my Italian honey fig, which I got high hopes for. It's starting to grow. Got a little bit of growth up there at the top, you can see. Alright, so got high hopes for that. Apparently they're a very sweet fig. Over here, this is the spot where I had thrown all of my weeds last year. I made some really nice soil, and so we've got it all planted up. I got cucumbers coming up on the trellises. You can see these baby ones there. Alright, and then the bigger ones there, and then in the back. Got some mustard next to it, just because it came up there. And then I've got a little bit of lettuce starting to pop now. Just a little bit here and there. Up underneath it. The idea being that if I can get the lettuce to grow underneath the cucumbers, that would be kind of cool. My daughter gave me a bunch of lemon cucumbers, and I planted them there and nothing. I planted them in pots and nothing. So they were real lemons. Alright, enough of the jokes. There's my actual goji berry. Underneath there I've got some more of the longevity spinach, cilantro, and various other things, more weeds. And then my fig tree, this is the Ashia fig. Let me get back a little ways so you can get a better idea of how big it is. It's a really good sized fig. And it's only been here, I think this will be the 3rd year. But it is going great guns. And in fact, on this one, we actually have at least one fig so far. But it's still young. It seems to put them out a little bit later than the turkey fig. And we'll probably do some more on that once they start coming in a little better. Over here is the pomegranate that I had inside the pool enclosure. And here we actually have blooms. We got one bloom there, and then there's two right together somewhere else over here. So far, we got a grand total of 3 blooms. Well, I can't seem to find the other ones right now. I won't make you wait for me to find them. Alright, another tomato. And another tomato, which I didn't mark because I don't really care. We'll see once it grows up. I want to show you this fig tree. Now this is the brown turkey fig. And you can see there's figs there, figs over here, more figs over there. I got figs everywhere on that one. And this is a sweeter fig, more common, but it seems to be sweeter than the Ashia to me. Sorry, got ants on my feet. So we're really looking forward to it. We had a lot of figs to eat last year, and we froze a few. Still trying to figure out exactly what we're going to do with them. It's doing very well. Okay, this was my double dug garden over here. Well, hang on. Let's start over here first. Let's start with the corn. So the corn, the ongoing saga of the corn. Well, you notice the cage here. What had happened was, I got mad because the first batch of corn that I planted didn't come up. So I thought, well, all right. I went about making a video where I murdered the corn, the like 3 or 4 that came up, and I replanted, and all of them came up. So I was very pleased. I'd put them a little bit more compost into it, so I think that helped. But then they got about, I don't know, about 3 inches tall, and geese come along, baby geese, and ate all the tops. But I put this cage up, and I watered them real good, and so far they're all coming back. So I don't know if it's going to put them way behind or what, but so far they're doing okay since they got a haircut. But yeah, I have issues with corn, man. Corn and me just do not get along. Alright, in here, this is my double dug garden, which has done very well. Did great last year and it's doing good again this year. I've got radish, more radish. I've got carrots. These are different types of radish, by the way. In there I've got some garlic, not really to grow the garlic so much as just to kind of protect the plants. And then in here is my chard, which I got to go back through again and start looking for more bugs. had a ton of armyworms, which I killed a bunch, but I got to get back in there and kill some more. But it seems like it's coming back okay. And armyworms, they won't eat the whole plant. As long as you get them off before you eat the plant, you should be fine. But they can really tear up your plant. So that's something I'm working with as we go along. Here's one of my batches of tomatoes. And you can see down there, I have a whole bunch of aromas on the one branch that are coming in. And I got blooms all over the place. So they're looking really good in this area in particular. That is the one that's in there. I'm fixing to dig it out and place it somewhere else. But you can tell it's doing fine, and that's the one where I took a branch and just stuck it in the ground, and it is growing and doing well. Actually, it's got blooms on it, fixing to make tomatoes. And over here is my kohlrabi. One of my areas has got kohlrabi. Next to that, some beets. And this is our kiwi, which has not done well. That kiwi is about 5 years old. All right, it's been in there forever and just hasn't done much at all. Next to that is a Luffa Gourd and cucumber, which I'm going to try and get to grow up, the trellis there, since the kiwi isn't using it. And over here is my grape, one of my grapes, the best grape so far. And you can see I got little baby grape flowers coming in several different places. This one does so much better here. It really seems to like it here. And I wonder if maybe it's because it doesn't get as much afternoon sun. Maybe the sun is too much for them here. I don't know. I'll show you my other grapes later on. All of this in here, where you see all the leaves with the flowers, that is all cilantro that is coming up and bolting, which is fine. I'll get a bunch of seed, and we have plenty of cilantro growing elsewhere. And then all of that is volunteer. The lettuce here is volunteer. That's butter crunch lettuce that is volunteering and fixing to bolt, which I want the seeds. Same thing back in here. The only thing that I really planted in this area of this garden this year was the carrots, which are actually doing well so far. And then over here is some of the other stuff that I planted. This is 3 rows of garlic. Now this was planted in the winter, and it's doing very well. Matter of fact, I should be harvesting here fairly soon. You can see the bottom leaves are starting to die back. The rule of thumb is that you want to harvest them once most or half of the bottom leaves have died back and started to turn brown, which we are nowhere near that area. But I will say last year I had a couple of them that I left in too long, so the cloves started to separate. And so I noticed that happened shortly after we started getting scapes. So these are the hard neck garlic, so I should get scapes. And as soon as I start seeing scapes, I'm going to probably let them get about 3 inches. And then I'm going to start harvesting. Now in between there, if you look down inside there, I have some more of the chard. You notice it isn't eaten up near as bad. And that's because of the garlic, which is why I companion planted them in here with it. Now, over here, if you can see it, down in there, that's spinach. It did not fare nearly as well. So, spinach just doesn't want to grow very well here. Then over here I got my onions. Basically 4 rows of onions. I double rowed them. I got the red ones over here and the yellow ones over here, or white I think. And then in between the onions I've got some cabbage, which seems to be doing okay so far. Again, planted in there to kind of keep them from basically getting eaten up, and it seems to be working so far. I mean, there's a little bit of damage here and there, but not too much. All right, let me take a couple minutes, give me a little bit of coffee, and I'll be right back. All right, everybody, had to give me a little bit of coffee. I'm all better. All right, so let's walk on in here. I'll show you some things. All right, so first off, this is my collard greens. Now, the first year I grew collards, they didn't bolt. They just kept growing. But I had them in wood chips. This year they're in regular dirt and they're bolting, which is fine because I'll get some seed. But I thought that was kind of interesting. That's the first time I'd had them bolt. And my daughter had one that grew for years that did not bolt. And actually was, oh man, it was probably a good 10, 15 foot long, the stalk, because she just kept harvesting the leaves and eating them, and then they would grow a little longer, and it went all along her driveway, and it was a really long plant. All right, but anyway, so down in here, I'll show you what I got going on. I got some more carrots. Now you notice I've got several different areas of carrots, and that's what's called succession planting. So that the idea being that as time goes on, I'll have more carrots. All right, and you know, a couple weeks later, some more will be ready, and then a couple weeks after that, some more will be ready. Behind that, I have the French breakfast radishes, which are actually pretty cool. Tastes like a radish. I mean, the taste isn't that big a difference. Behind that is some butter crunch lettuce, some more of that. My daughter loves it. Behind that is some spinach, which really isn't doing all that. Again, spinach just is not, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the spinach. I need to get in here and mulch some stuff, but we'll get to that here soon. And then back behind that are my tomatoes. I've got a purple tomato there. I've got a homestead there. I've got a, what is that one? And that one is a brandywine right there. And then underneath there is one of those white Thomasills. And even in the ground, it just isn't really working real hard. And back behind that, some basil, some in between some basil. And then right there, you can see the basil, and then right next to it is a little bit of amaranth that's coming up. It just comes up wild. I'll let some of it grow, some of it I'll take down. And then behind that, you'll see I've got chives, a row of chives. Those are onion chives, which are there to hopefully help keep the pests off. Some more of the purple basil there. And then my peas, which are growing really nice, getting really tall, doing quite well. And in fact, over here, you can see I've got some pods. I don't think they're quite ready to pick yet. They're getting close. Starting to fatten up real nice. So I got peas there. And then down here, that is a row of cauliflower, which we'll see. I've never tried growing it. Well, I tried once, but none of the seeds came up. Next to it is some beans. And then down here is my Everglades tomato, which I got from the plant swap. Which I need to pull some weeds up in here. Some more peas there, and peas there. And over here, the big corn, well, alright, so in the front is garlic, which was meant to keep the bugs off. Once again, if it grows and I actually get a harvest, great. If not, then like I said, it's there for the bugs. Behind that is the extra row of corn. So when I originally planted corn, alright, it should have grown as well as this. Some of that is about 2 foot tall, so had the first corn I grown, I probably would have corn about this size. So then behind that, the second row of corn, which you can kind of see back in behind there, is the corn that I planted on my second planting. I had another extra batch, so I went ahead and threw them in the ground. And that is way bigger than the ones over there, which is where the geese got them. So, I'm telling you, man, corn just does not love me. And then behind that is some cucumbers. And then between here and the cauliflower is another row of green beans. Those are bush beans back there. But in between these two rows of corn, I'm going to go ahead and plant some beans, some climbing beans. And then I'll probably plant a little bit of squash in here as well. And then that is a cantaloupe, a miniature cantaloupe. Cantaloupe don't do well here, so they get bugs real bad. This is my wheat field. Once again, I busted. You can kind of see the wheat if you get down and kind of look for the rows-ish. I haven't really pulled the weeds because I pulled them over there and it didn't really do well. It didn't seem like it helped. And then I found out the geese were coming along and eating all them. So I'm just going to let it go. Whatever happens, happens. I won't mow it. And we'll see how big it gets and what happens. We'll see if we actually get some wheat. I do have some wheat plants in there, but they're taking their sweet time to grow. I water them pretty much daily, but you know, that doesn't always guarantee success by any stretch of the imagination. And then over here, I have my sunflower field. Like 4x4 fields, I guess you call it. But I originally planted this whole area in, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 sunflowers. But this dirt is very poor dirt. it's very sandy. You can see it's very sandy soil there. Matter of fact, here's a husk from one of them that did not grow. Let's put it in the ground and see what happens, right? Alright, but at any rate, so I found out I really have to water this heavily daily. Now since I did that, you can see there's a bunch of babies that are coming up down the row. So that seems to be helping this time. Until they get big and actually get roots down into the ground, I'm going to have to just keep watering them hard. I counted, I think I have 15 or so, maybe 20 more that are coming up. So it should be a nice little batch of sunflowers. Last time we grew sunflowers, we played fight the squirrels for them. So we got a few. We'll see. This is my potato patch. Now I just got basically told that you can't do this. It just doesn't work. You know, I told them that basically I took store-bought potatoes. I cut them so that you could see 3 eyes and stuck them in the ground. And they're like, yeah, if you plant them in November, you might get some potatoes. But guess what? I got a whole bunch of potato plants. Seem to be doing just fine. So that's why you never believe the rules. Rules are meant to be broken in gardening. Then I got another row of beans all along here. Hoping to get a whole bunch of green beans. I got some more of the peas right there. You notice my little hedges here. That is actually oregano, meant to deter pests. And bee balm, same thing. Draw pollinators once it flowers and deter pests. And then over here are the marigolds. I did a little thing on the marigolds that I planted. I have one that's just really not liking it too much. This is doing okay. And then these over here, that soil dries very fast. Matter of fact, I got to water it again. And then these over here, only one of them took, but this just doesn't get a lot of sun right there. Alright, so let's look over here. Walking down this road. Over here I got broccoli. Now broccoli is really a winter crop. But I had planted them, so I'm letting them grow, see kind of what happens. They are coming up, and the leaves are very good. So even if I don't get heads, which I think I might, because what's going to happen in the summertime? It bolts. All right. So if I get leaves, great. I'll eat the leaves, and if I get some heads, even better. All right. Back here is a Love Lives Bleeding amaranth. That's a new one for me. All the other amaranth we had up until this time was this kind right there, which I don't know the variety, but it's tasty. And it reseeds all over the place. So we've got that growing up in there. That is some lettuce that is bolting, which I will pull out because I like the black Simpson or black seeded Simpson much better. It's a tastier lettuce. This lettuce here is another leaf lettuce that's good, don't get me wrong, but I like the other one better. So my idea is that I'm going to let it bolt, and I'm taking all of these that I have let bolt year over year for, oh gosh, last 4 years. And just spread seed wherever. I might keep a couple of them just to let some seed go, but for the most part I'm going to take them all out and then start trying to get that to bolt out, which I got a plant I'll show you here in a minute that's doing that. Some more of the spinach, which again is not doing well. Back here you can see some of the butter crunch lettuce. Some more back there, some cilantro in there. Then over here I went out and I bought pepper plants because my pepper plants, I could not get them to grow from seed for whatever reason. I still got some seed that hasn't grown. I interspersed amongst them is some sweet basil, but I have 4 pepper plants in here. Let's see, 4 basil along with some cilantro in the middle and a little bit of the black seeded Simpson lettuce there. And back behind that is some kale. And in my batch of carrots, a double row there, which is getting to where I've been picking at them. I pulled one out of here that I swear was 2 foot long and skinny. It wasn't a big fat carrot at the top, it was skinny, but that sucker was 2 foot long. Man, I could not believe how deep that thing went. So they've been doing well. Now back over here I've got a little more of the broccoli, just a little bit here, some more of the Simpson lettuce, and some more of the butter crunch. So we're going to try and let some of it grow and go to seed, like this one right there is bolting out, which is fine. And then you can see that back in here, all of that dead looking stuff, that is actually seed pods for my broccoli. I let them flower, and you can see in amongst there, well, there's a seed there. I dropped some of them, but all of these pods should have a whole bunch of seed in them. So look at all them broccoli seeds. Alright, so I'll be harvesting some seed on that. And back behind here is arugula, along with a dill. Now the flames got a little hot when I was making my fire, so kind of burnt my dill, but I got more of it going. But this arugula, I'm not really that interested in. I'll be honest with you, I don't really care for the taste too much, and it's okay, but the idea was that I'd leave that there, and if the seeds come out and drop, they drop, but the bigger idea was to kind of give a little bit of afternoon shade between the dill, the broccoli, and then the arugula to the lettuce. So I got a little bit of shade you can see up underneath there. It's got some dappled shade for the lettuce to grow in, which will hopefully prolong the life of the lettuce a bit. Alright, then over here is my strawberry patch, which has done very well. We've got a ton of strawberries this year. But, oh, and then back there is some more of the stevia. And then a couple more of my my oregano hedges. Alright. And we have gotten some really nice strawberries out of here, but the stinking roly-polies have been eating them up. Oh yeah, look at that bad boy. Oh my goodness. Look at that strawberry. That's a nice fatty boy. Let me tell you what. I'll tell Mama to come out here and grab that one. Yeah, that's pretty good. We've actually got a ton of strawberries. Now some of these are the ever blooming and some are not. All of them have gotten munched to a certain extent, but we're getting a few here and there. Alright, and then back over here, first off, these all along here are more of the Luffa Gourds, which grow a lot like cucumbers. And on this side, I'm going to plant cucumbers right there. Now over here is my pepper patch, and you can see they're just really starting to come up. Now had I bought bell peppers, I'd probably already have bell peppers. But I didn't. I grew them from seed, and they're coming. They're just taking their sweet time. I mean, you know, there's a few of them. Like that one right there. Just little babies. Well, they're coming. Hopefully here soon. And then in between, same kind of thing with the basil. And I have put so much compost into this bed, and I keep it watered, but it is just, for some reason, they are not wanting to really take off and grow. Which is interesting, because right over here is another bed that I prepared the same way. This is my square foot garden. Now I am really happy with my square foot garden. It has gone crazy. I've got tomatoes down here. Alright, this is a sweetie tomato, which as fast as it grows leaves, something is munching them. So, I'm not sure what. I was kind of hoping that garlic next to it would kind of keep it off. And then that's a holy basil right next to it. So, I don't know. But the lettuce is going great guns. I got marigolds right there. This is some more of that dazzling blue kale with some beans on the backside. And on the other side of the beans, right there, is a little bit of the butter crunch lettuce, a dill plant, and then this was bok choy, which I'm allowed to go to seed. Makes nice flowers. The bees like it. All right, and then next to that is some beets, a little bit of cabbage, more carrots, more beans. Those are just the regular green beans. Down in there, once again, the spinach, which is just getting chewed up to nothing. And then in here is a couple more of the cauliflowers, which were planted way later than the other ones. I mean, I know they're smaller, but then different types of basil in here. Which actually, those are starting to bolt, which I don't want to happen yet. You can prolong the bolting by popping off the tops, but if it starts to bolt, it's just going to bolt. Then I got some baby tomatoes coming up on this tomato. That one, oh man, it smells so good. Oh, that's another homestead. That's what that is. And then these are the dragon tongue beans. As you see right there, which I need to harvest. There's a bunch of them up in there. Now those are more of a pod bean apparently. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to eat some of those, and then we're also going to save some seed. And I got more carrots up in there. It's more of the dazzling blue kale. And that one back there is a singular broccoli plant, which is doing quite well, along with some kohlrabi next to it. Some radishes, which are starting to bolt. I got to get them out. And I've got some dill, some more of the black-seeded Simpson lettuce, some more of the dragon tongue beans, tomatoes there, basil in between them, right, and then another cauliflower right there. So that's what I got going on in my square foot garden. And man, if you take a look at that, that is just too cool. Not a lot of weed pressure because there's so many plants growing in there, and I haven't seen a lot of pest pressure. There's some eating going on, but not a huge amount, and I think that has to do with the idea of so many different smells and looks that the bugs don't really know what we got, which I think is pretty cool. Alright, let's go back over here and we'll take a walk through here. First off, I've got my my lemongrass, which is coming back nicely. Some more of the Stevia. Now, could not come up with that word. Our plum tree, which has got a few plums, but it's interesting, the loquats and the plums, which, I mean, loquats are technically a type of Japanese plum, but there's a few of them there, just not a lot, nothing like it was last year. Last year we had tons. We also had tons and tons of loquats. So, and then these, for some reason, seem to do that, where they're bunching big time, which is interesting. You know, last year it was more like this, where you'd have them interspersed different areas, but for some reason they're bunching more. And back in here, there's a couple different things. I've got my cardamom, ginger there, a little bit of more of the mustard, which you look over there, that's another mustard that has gone to seed. But interspersed in amongst here, well, first off, I covered this with all grass clippings. That's about 6 inches deep originally of grass clippings. And into that I planted, that is a lemon squash. And over there, that is a spaghetti squash. Another spaghetti squash right there. And then I planted some spaghetti squash seeds from one that just kind of dried out, so I got some seeds off of it. This is my guava tree. Now, guavas are supposed to be able to take a freeze, I thought. And this one did not. It has not produced anything. No leaves, no nothing. I've kept it watered, but the freeze, I think, just killed it off. We have, I'll stuck myself in the eye. All right. If you look right there, right here, you can see there's a little tiny bit of green that's actually coming out of the guava tree itself. But that is the sum total of the growth. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Last year it came back fine, but apparently it just does not like the freeze. So I'll have to, if this doesn't grow anything more than this by May, I'll probably cut this back and just let that one piece grow if it'll grow. Next to that, we got some more milkweed and beans. Alright, this is an area I'm not really pulling a lot of weeds out of. I'm just going to kind of let them go. Down in here, hasn't sprouted up yet, but that's where I have my turmeric, the bigger turmeric. Alright, that is a baby guava tree that I got from seed, which is my backup plant. I've got several of them, I think 3. A little bit of asparagus, which is not really starting to come back very hard. And then that's another mustard that's going to seed. This is my moringa tree. Now this died back So I made a video on cutting it back, but you can see it's already got 2 foot growth on it, maybe almost 3. It'll be interesting to see just how much it grows this year. Some more mustard, and then along here I just planted all these. These are all mulberries for that I got from cuttings. I stuck them in a pot and just let them go, and all of them came up and grew. So I stuck them all out here, throw a little water in them once in a while. They seem to be doing good. The compost bin, and then back in there is my outside toilet, which we'll talk more about later on. I got an idea on that one. This is Compost Tea Brewing. I took a bunch of compost, floated it on the tea, and now I'm making some dark water. Let's see. So I'll fish all that out, and that should make some real nice fertilizer, liquid fertilizer. Woo, man, that stinks. Alright, stink is good on that one. Alright, so let me take you back in here into our butterfly garden. I'll start off with this. First off, this was all hollyhocks that I planted, and then I planted also a row along here and through there. And you can see some of the smaller hollyhocks right there. Alright, so for some reason several of the varieties just did not come up. So I'm not really sure what that's all about. But I do have some there, so I'm going to let them get a little bit bigger, and I'm going to plant them up in here. But we're growing a lot of different things for butterflies in here. Alright, so first off, well, of course there is the plum tree here. It's another plum tree, and then next to that's the loquat tree. And then we initially just planted the plum and decided, you know what, let's go ahead and make us a butterfly garden. So you see I've got milkweed there and there, in and amongst that the pollinator mix, and another milkweed there. And all around the outside edge I've got milkweed interspersed with some various other flowers. Like that one's a shrimp that actually died back and came back this year. And then I've got a whole bunch of the fennel growing up in here. Milkweed there and there. That's a honeysuckle, which is doing quite well. Milkweed, a couple other various random flowering plants up in here. The hollyhocks right there. That little tree up underneath that trellis is actually a chastity tree, which is kind of interesting. Back there is our Mexican sunflower, which is a great chop and drop plant. More marigolds and milkweed there. Marigolds are there to help keep the aphids down. A bird bath with another one of the solar fountains in it. Some more flowering plants. Like that is, oh gosh, what's it called? It'll come to me eventually. A whole bunch of different plants planted up in here. Got a lot of bulbs that are starting to come up that produce flowers that are good for butterflies. The swallowtails love the fennel, and the monarchs love the milkweed. So we got both growing here, along with some various and sundry others. Some more butterfly, or bee balm. And, you know, just a few other things in here. Some fire spike and some frostweed, and gosh, I can't even remember what all the rest of them are. Planting a lot of random flowering plants back here. Alright, there is our biggest loquat tree, which the squirrels just are fighting me for every one of them. But we're doing alright. Our shade tree garden, which as expected is taking a good while to come up, but I've got some lettuce in the back and a little bit of spinach growing. I've got some of the chard growing, beets, just a few beets here and there, and then carrots are coming in a little bit at a time. So it's not going to grow as well as a garden in full sun, but it is growing. And then we got some potatoes there, marigolds all around the outside, and that little row of plants right there is Egyptian spinach, which likes sun, but I didn't really have another spot to plant it, so I went ahead and planted a row there. I got tons of seed. And then these are my actual big mulberry bushes, which are going crazy. You can see I still got, even after we've harvested so many mulberries, I mean, quarts and quarts and quarts of mulberries. Made jellies out of them, made them in smoothies. I mean, and still, you can see they're still completely loaded with mulberries everywhere. Really cool. Now, they can be a problem if you're not going to harvest them, because then everything can turn purple. But out here, I don't really care. If I get purple dirt, I'm good with it. All right, and out here is my hugelkultur mound, which, I mean, it's kind of a raised hugelkultur because I went ahead and put some of these big logs that I had around it, thinking eventually they'll rot down to nothing. But some of the things I got in here, I've got Seminole pumpkin, which is doing way better than the one that's in the food forest. And then that is watermelon. And then over here, I've got tomato plants all along the row here, with a little bit of lemon basil in between. The lemon basil just keeps coming back, man. Every year it drops seeds, and every year we get a bunch more lemon basil popping back up. Then, you know, a lot of weeds in there, but I did throw a bunch of random seeds in. So I'm kind of letting the weeds grow up to see what's what before I start pulling them out. All right, so, but these Seminole pumpkins are doing great. They're starting to get flowers. They're already huge. Last year, if you look over there and see that big tree, I'm not sure what kind of tree, but they made it all the way over there and into the woods in behind it from this spot. So they can get really, really huge. So just something to be advised of. If you're going to plant them, expect them to grow. That, I'm not sure what that is. Let it grow again because I'm not sure what it is. Kind of looks like a tomato. I don't know what that is. No, it's not a tomato. It doesn't smell like tomato. I don't know. I don't know. It might just be a weed. In which case, I'll pull it out. Let's see. Ain't gonna hurt none to grow a bit. Back here, these are my elderberry trees. And you can see they're already starting to put out blooms. Several blooms up there in the pond behind me. Still building houses, almost done. Another one here. It's got blooms on it. Several of them, and then a couple of them back in here, which are still young, but they're baby elderberries. So I'm letting them grow. We'll see what happens. Hopefully when they come to mow this, they don't mow my elderberries over. I might have to put some wood up, I don't know. Back side of my butterfly garden, which we've done really well with butterflies. We've had a whole bunch this year. And then our resting spot, which is kind of nice. Good place to kick back in the shade. Almost always have a breeze coming across the pond there, which is cool. All right. That is another in the shade garden. I've got another loquat, which I'll be honest with you, has done very well in the shade. I mean, it's grown pretty well. It's only been there about a year. All right, so here I have my kumquat tree, which last year we harvested them all, but so far they're still looking good. And I know that some citrus you can leave on the tree, so they're still nice. They're really good in tea. Mama likes to make tea with them. But they're a nice source of citrus when you just don't have any other. But they're pretty small, a lot of seeds. And I mean, the taste is a little bit different, but it's good. I mean, they're definitely edible. Another olive tree, which this one has not grown as well, but I don't have near as many nutrients in the soil here. So that's why we got some beans planted around it. And I'll try and do some composting. But it takes olive trees years and years to be able to produce olives. Over here is another one of, this is one of the original peach trees. All right, and I can't remember which one's a Florida King and which one's a Florida Queen, but it's one of the two. All right, and it's growing back a little better this year. You can see a lot of the dead branches up in here from last year. Once I get, actually I'm pretty close to being there now. Once I'm pretty confident that what's going to grow has grown, then I'm going to go ahead and start hacking apart a lot of the dead limbs out of there. I was going to do it this winter, but you can't tell what was alive and dead necessarily. and what's just dormant. So I'll cut all the dead wood out this year and then try and form it up a little better. I'm really surprised that this one has not done as well as the other one over here. I had one question about my cherry tree. This is a black cherry tree which I got as a bare root plant, and it has done well. I mean, it hasn't grown really fast. That's probably 3 years worth of growth, but it is growing, and it puts out leaves every year. It's a real pretty little tree. Supposedly it'll get up to like 60 feet. So I've got it a good distance away from the pool, and also if it ever does fall, it won't hurt the house. But we're going to keep letting it grow. I might eventually get it a companion, because you need a pollinator for that, apparently. Another pomegranate here, which is starting to grow a little more this year. My pear tree, which I don't think we got any pears this year. We got one last year, one the year before, and none this year. But I've always been told you plant pears for your heirs, you know, so maybe my kids will someday get pears off of this tree. I don't know. We'll see. That's one that I took with the air layering method from this pear tree. And then this is my neighbor, has really gone into the gardening thing as well, which I've already talked to him. One day we're going to do an interview, him and I. We're going to sit down and talk, and I'll introduce you. This is the other peach tree. They got planted at the same time. This is either the Florida King or the Queen. One was one and one was the other. All right. The idea being that they were going to be pollinators for the other one. But this one actually flowered out this year and has a few peaches buried up in there. It may or may not come. There's one there. There's a few of them. So we'll see. It's still a young tree. It's only been a few years. This is a Mulberry Hedge. The idea being just to give a little privacy between me and the neighbors, so we don't have to talk all the time if we don't want to, but we still can, which we do quite a bit. But the idea is to give both of us a little bit of something in between us. And then over here is another peach tree. And now this was this year's, and I put this netting up, which hopefully you can see. But I put the netting up because we had several of the peaches get eaten, and you can see these peaches are really starting to get nice and fat. I did not want to give up all my peaches to the squirrels. All right, I love squirrels and all, but I love peaches. So hopefully we're going to get a whole bunch of peaches off of this year. It is a young tree. Probably should have just pulled it off, but we did try the aluminum foil thing. I did not give it enough time to really find out if that works. But we went ahead and got the netting. The netting was like $6 at Lowe's. So, and it was not too hard to put up. Oh, let me show you over here. Our mom will never forgive me. That is my orange tree. Now we had 2 small oranges that have since fallen off, but it's growing well and it's getting bigger. I'll probably do a little bit of pruning to it this coming year in the fall before it starts to flower out again. And kind of shape it a little bit, but that's fixing to be an orange tree. So I've got another one over here I'll show you here in a second that hopefully will be a pollinator, though it's actually a mandarin orange. Some more bananas here. Now this down here, that little plant right there, right here, that is a passion fruit. Alright, which, you know, everybody tells you passion fruit go crazy. You know, that one hadn't. But we bought a passion fruit, took the seeds, and I got a few of them to grow. So we're going to see what it does. Hopefully it'll come up and do well here. I've had issues here in this particular area. You can see right behind it, that dead stick should be a grapevine, but it has not made it. Again, that's the second one that has died in this area. We had one that grew up, actually, yeah, the second one. And one that grew up, it did okay for a year. I actually got a few grapes, and then it died back, so I got this one and planted it, and it died back. So I don't know what it is about this spot that the grapes really don't like. Now this soil is rather poor soil. And see, even like these are this is another grapevine that is doing okay, but even the bananas don't really get huge out here. So and you know, that's my septic drain field behind, So I thought, you know, it should be nice, rich soil, but no, not so far. But the grapes are doing okay, and I think, do we have any? I don't see any blooms yet, but we actually got a few grapes last year. So they're getting bigger as time goes on. These are growing as well. You can see I put some compost down. So I'm going to keep doing the compost thing and try and get them to come back. Maybe get some more nutrients in the area will help. But eventually I'm hoping to make this whole fence there a whole bunch of grapes. Which would be really cool. And this is my mandarin orange there, just planted this year. Another one of the trees that was planted this year, so it seems to be doing fine. So altogether we planted, well, all right, the pear tree we planted, I can't remember if that was last year or the very beginning of this year. So that pear tree back there, this orange tree there, we planted 2 lemons, or maybe a lemon and a lime. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing one somewhere. Oh, and 2 fig trees. So that's 5, 6 trees we planted this year so far, along with all the mulberries and so on. Yeah, that's what it looks like from here. I must admit that this year I have paid more attention, and I'm much prouder of my whole garden area. I gotta say, I'm very pleased with the way things are coming about. Now, that's not to say things couldn't go straight to hell here in the next month or so. Man, I'm really happy. All right, everybody, so that's where we're at so far this year. Like I said before, it's middle of spring, towards the end of April. I think it's the 28th or something like that. I don't know. I'm retired. I never know what day it is or what time. Kind of like my phone. It's over there somewhere. I'll find it if I ever need it. But I've been very, very pleased with the way things have come about this year. You know, I mean, I've had a few challenges. We had a really hard freeze, a lot of cold here in Jacksonville, more so than normal, by far. So that was a bit of a challenge. We managed to get past that. A little bit of issues growing peppers and some issues growing tomatoes from starts. Though once I've got them into the ground, they seem to be doing great. So far, at least. Got a little bit of armyworm pressure, which I'm gonna keep on plugging away at that and putting killing some more of them as we go along. But all in all, I'm very pleased. I mean, I gotta say that everything is turning out really well. I do gotta say though, there's a real lack of pollinators this year. Hang on a second, I got a visitor. Come here, Murph. All right, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? Yeah, I know. You never get to see me. Never get to see me. It's only 3 or 4 times a day. What's going on, man? Come on. So anyway, so that's what I got going so far this year. We'll do another video here sometime in the near future to show you how things are going on in the summer and what's doing well in the heat. We're looking at some 90-degree days here Thursday and Friday days and Wednesday, so tomorrow and the next day, and then hopefully some more rain after that. Rain has been pretty sparse so far, so I've had to do a lot of watering, but it seems to be paying off. So once again, thanks for stopping by. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, and let me know what you think, and grow something. Get your garden growing. I mean, I'm really proud of this. I like walking around and just looking at it. So I got a couple of cherries. I got one in the actual garden itself. I got another one that's over in the butterfly garden in our swing over there. And sometimes I just kind of sit and hang out and just look at what we've done and how well it's done. So it's nice, peaceful, quiet, even though we got airplanes flying over. So I really enjoy that. All right, and you can too if you grow yourself a garden. All right, thanks once again, and y'all take care and grow something.